Today, I want to draw your attention to currency strength. Now, currency strength has to do with a currency which is strong and which is weak. Now, looking at the currency strength meter here on marketmilk.bbpips.com, we get to see clearly that the New Zealand dollar in the previous day has been one of the most powerful most powerful strength currency in the market. And you can tell that evidently from the looks right here when you place the looks of all the assets in the market, and you can see the economic data of the New Zealand dollar has the highest positive amounts of news, written at 520 altogether compared to every other currency right here. If you put that into this perspective, you can see this updates every second or every 5 minutes or so, every 5 seconds. And in the last 5 seconds, the information has finally aided more into the Australian dollar. Now, looking at that, what you see here is even though the New Zealand dollar just was one of the strongest in here and it's back to being at the top, you look here and you'd see it is still below every other thing. Now, the logic here is not just you aiming to say, oh, this is the strongest and I should buy it, this is the weakest, I should sell it. No, you're looking at trends, and that's the thing with trading. Trading is not you are trying to buy now because it's the strongest. You're trying to buy now hoping for it to remain the strongest for a period of time. And that is the thing with trading. So when you come here and you look at the strength meter without looking at the strength history chart, you have not really understood what you're looking at. Looking at the strength history chart, we can see a clear decline in the US dollar. And the US dollar is not even the worst thing on this current meter. This meter is as of right now 6:48 a.m. In the next 1 minute, it should update and then it would show you exactly what is happening at that time. But after the whole day, the records are taken up here, and then you're seeing at the end of the whole day, the strength this guy gained, was it better than yesterday or is it worse than yesterday? And then it's going to move up or down. Now, looking at the whole thing here, the best performing strength here, I want you to go down to the comment section, take a good look at this chart right now and tell me, what do you think is the best performing currency in terms of strength in the previous days, all the way from August 1st till date? Now, you could pause the video, go down to the comment section and write it. For those of you who guessed Australian dollar right now, well, you are correct. If you look at the chart of the Australian dollar, it is by far the fastest growing thing recently. You can see that large move up. It is still faster than the New Zealand dollar. And then you check the fundamental situation of this economy right now, even though they do not have the best economic data. So I'm going to filter for just Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar. I only want those two on the table. Now, even though it's not the best performing, looking at it right here, what you notice is the retail sales data that recently came out. Whenever it did, it's absolutely outstanding, and alongside with the manufacturing PMI. Even though their employment change information is unknown of, like right now it is 0, it is neutral. It means what you see here is what they're trying to say is this: people have money to spend in their economy right now, and in an economy where there's money to be spent, that is one of the best economies to invest in at any given point in time. So when you find the first 2 sets of data or first 3 sets of data in this chart looking absolutely outstanding, you should know that those currencies are currencies you should be looking into for a period of time until you start seeing deviation from those numbers. But you just don't use those 2 numbers in isolation. It's just for you to understand that the retail sales and the manufacturing PMI of the Australian dollar is by far the best performing compared to every other thing. You can see, looking at all the first set 3 data, or first set of data, you see the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar. The Australian dollar has the highest on the red and the yellow combined. The next best thing here is the New Zealand dollar, which is the second best, and you can always see that reflecting right here on the current strength meter, where you see the New Zealand dollar and the Australian dollar interchanging strength every minute as this chart updates. But do you see this on the chart? So let's check it out on the chart. The Australian dollar in the recent days is gaining strength against the US dollar, and this is not because the US dollar has extreme bad news. Because if you put your view down here, what you would notice is the US dollar is not the worst performing. Matter of fact, it is the third best strength currency in previous days. However, it is still way below in terms of trend compared to both of them. You can see the both of them tilting upwards, and then the US dollar tilting somewhat downward, and now it is slightly gaining. It is slightly gaining its strength. In gaining strength, what you see here is, even though it is gaining strength, it is not gaining so much strength against the rest, to the point where on the daily chart you're seeing that the New Zealand dollar is capitalizing against it, even though the overall trend of the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar is bearish. Now, understanding the fundamental aspects and then relating it to the technical aspect is not so straightforward, but this is why we make videos and contents for people to understand. The fundamental aspect right now is this chart telling you the different economic data and situation. And then this is a record of the technical situation. So from here, you get a good instant record of technical situation without looking at the chart. And with this, you can then make a calculated audience, or rather a calculated entrance into the market. Knowing fully well that the Australian dollar has been gaining so good in the recent days, you can come into the market and start to look out for the New Zealand dollar pairs. And then you pair that up with the fact that you know that the US has been sinking alongside with the euro, which has been printing a bearish move in recent days. You should be aiming for something like the Euro AUD, that is the Euro Australian dollar, or things like the Euro, New Zealand dollar Euro, that is the Euro New Zealand dollar. So you can see right here on the chart, in the recent days we've been seeing that slump below, and then the Euro New Zealand dollar, you expect to see the same situation. So this is for you to be able to put yourself in order, understand what is happening in the market. Now let's do some technical analysis in these two markets. So for the Euro New Zealand dollar, what we have right here is we see that price has started to come down after creating good highs. There is a high at this point and price has failed to break above it. Well, you can see there is no clear close. Price isn't closing above. Price got there and pushed below. If there is anywhere price may see strength, is at a demand zone, which we have one right here. So this is a good demand zone in the 1.976 and 1.695 areas. In these zones, price may find strength and retrace upwards, meaning the euro, if the European news comes out and become good within the time frame when price comes in here, there is a like tendency we will see price shoot up again at this point. Again, let's look into the Euro Australian dollar. Now, unlike the Euro New Zealand dollar, the Euro Australian dollar, what we see here is quite tricky. But there is a zone right here, seated right here. This is a good demand zone where price may shoot off from if it comes down here. However, you should also pay attention to why price should do that. And you can see that we had a very faint close above. Immediately price rallied away from that close. Now, putting that into 4 hours time frame to see what we can do, it is best we wait. However, there is just another big problem here. If price breaks below this low, based on technical understanding of technical analysis, we would say that it is quite risky for you to just dive into markets such as this and start buying. Why? Because technically, when you see the charts doing things like this, breaking above, right? When you see those breaks above areas, or in this case, you see breaks below areas, right? You see break below areas, you should be careful because price could just retest. Price could just retest and fall even harder. So like a situation like this, seeing price break below this low, there is a tendency price may retest and push even harder. It's a confluence zone where we have mixed signal, very, very mixed signal. As you can see, extremely mixed, because you see this was an area where there was good resistance at first, and now price is coming back there. We want to know, sorry, a good support, and then price is coming back there. Price should break that level. This is an area where price had good support, and if price should break that level, there's a tendency price would come into this other support and may break through it. If price doesn't break through it, then we're going for taking out this high. So this is it for the Euro New Zealand and the Euro Australian dollar. Now let's go back to the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. So recently, let's take a good look at those two pairs in particular. We're looking at the New Zealand dollar just against the US dollar, and what we have here is we still see very tremendous strength from the New Zealand dollar. However, the US is having real good retail sales compared to the New Zealand, and then the New Zealand has good manufacturing information as well as service information, whereas the US has only service information but no manufacturing information for us. And in this case, you should be careful, but do not forget the US still remains the international currency where everybody buys and sells and trades from. And like I said, that is giving this like a plus 100 to plus 200 extra points at any given time of day. And that carefulness is something you should always watch out for. Putting 100 points extra or 150 points extra puts this extremely close to the same strength as the New Zealand dollar, as you can see. So in my opinion, I'd say just be careful around these particular numbers. Be very careful around them. The New Zealand dollar, US dollar is in a position where, remember, we have an overall trend of a bearish trend. An overall trend is still showing its face. There is this tendency for here, and then we have a bullish tendency right here if price should keep it cool and calm. But I don't see this as a good trend line because price hasn't given us like a higher high in the first place. But on the 4 hours, what we have here is a constant fall, just like yesterday. For you trend, these are for trend line traders. We have this constant fall here. So price may just be pushing up to come retest and push even. Price may be pushing up to retest and push even lower, just like I said. Or price may break out finally, retest and push higher. Alright, at this point I'd say thank you for watching. This whole video was just for us to look through the economic system and looking through the currency strength chart, putting a little bit of knowledge in the economy and the markets and to my viewers. Thank you all for watching and see you all on another analysis. Peace.